Hello again, and welcome back to Isla Nublar, where we are recreating Jurassic Park, but better. This is episode 3 in that series. Our first episode was with the Proceratosaurus, and our second episode was with the Baryonyx. Now, this week we are going into a classic dinosaur, the Triceratops from the first film. I'm going to apologize right now because I ended up losing the first half of the footage for this enclosure. I still managed to have enough footage to make up an entire video the same length as the other two, because this enclosure took me a while to figure out the size that I wanted and everything. I ended up really enjoying the shape of it, as is a crescent without the ends of it, so it leaves it kind of in this neat little like macaroni noodle shape. And then to pay homage to the original movie where the Triceratops gets sick, I wanted to have like these two sick bays in the backstage area where we could keep a Triceratops isolated just in case it got sick. But it also acts as a way to keep an eye on the Triceratopses if there's something wrong with one of them. Part of my enclosure building process is to outline the enclosure with sand and or a terrain tool that is different from the normal terrain tools, so I can easily see where I need to place my barriers. I learned this trick from Evolution Square. She has a lot of really great building videos and building tips, and a lot of my building style has evolved from her videos. So if you haven't already, I would highly recommend going and checking out her channel. For this enclosure specifically, I really wanted to look out to make it feel like you're in the enclosure with the Triceratops. I kind of took inspiration from a lot of giraffe enclosures for this, because a lot of giraffe enclosures will have the elevated platform where you can feed them and interact with them in a different way. And now for one of my favorite parts of the video is when I ramble on to you about the species of dinosaur that we are building for. The Triceratops is a really well-known species of dinosaur that belongs to the Ceratopsian family and are really closely related to the Torosaurus. Triceratops is best known for the characteristic 3 horns on its face, with its name literally translating to 3-horn face. The horns on its face were once believed to be used to ward off predators, but now they're thought more of as deer antlers, being used to show off and show dominance between others in the same species. These dinosaurs could have been found in different formations ranging from modern-day Montana to Texas during the late Cretaceous. They would have been around during the same time as Tyrannosaurus rex, leading many scientists and paleontologists to believe them as prey animals for the Tyrannosaurus rex. Conifer type tree, as that would be kind of in the area that the Triceratops used to live in, and so this is the start of the biome-specific habitat builds for many of the dinosaurs that you will see later on in this series. But seeing as there are no specific terrain brushes for conifer trees in the tropical biome, I had to hand place all of them. It's not actually as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be. I usually play Planet Zoo, and so I usually end up placing all of my foliage by hand, so it was just kind of a nice, relaxing remembrance of Planet Zoo and adjacent games. But with that out of the way, we're moving away from the habitat build, so not really going to be placing too many more trees inside the habitat. That part is done. We're moving to decorating the outside of the habitat, which is kind of what most of this video ended up being after losing footage. I think now, even with how many habitats I do have finished, this one is still my favorite. It just has such unique shape, and I really enjoy the foliage and how it's all so lush and just full of life. There are just so many small details in this build that I really, really enjoy. I really like how this backstage turned out as well. There's a couple of things that I tried and they didn't really work out all that great because, well, there's only so much you can do with this game, and so as much as I love backstage, I am forced to keep it simple, which honestly really helps my sanity, because I tend to go a little bit overboard in games like Planet Zoo or Prehistoric Kingdom, where everything needs to be super, super detailed. But in Jurassic World Evolution, it's literally just, okay, what can I do to make this seem like it would work, like it would be real life. I also wanted to make it believable in the way that they would have something to transport the Triceratops. I ended up using the Stegosaurus cage thing for that. Even though I know it's for the Stegosaurus, I don't care that it's for the Stegosaurus. It works for the Triceratops too. And by now you've probably noticed that the video quality isn't that great. I ended up finding out way too late that I've been recording all of my footage in OBS in the wrong resolution. So it doesn't really get better until a much later episode. I ended up filling in the portion between our buildings and the Triceratops enclosure with a bunch of trees. I like the idea that the park hasn't fully taken over the island, even though it kind of has. You know how I said we weren't placing any more trees? Well, I lied. There's a lot more trees. They're just not in the enclosure. I tried to mesh together the conifer trees and the tropical trees because I wanted to make the transition as smooth as possible while also letting everything stay lush and full of foliage. I wanted to introduce a little bit more color, so I ended up going in with these temperate autumn trees because I really like the reds and the oranges that they bring to the color palette. I'm just finishing up this section. I end up covering the edge of the path with dirt because I like the look of the dirt because it reminds me of fresh mulch and just keeping everything nice and pristine along the edge. I don't care for the bright, almost neon green that the grass is. Then again, it might just be me. I'm just not a huge fan of it. So I end up using the dirt as a buffer for the rest of the terrain. We can't forget our little stupidity fence to keep people from touching the electric fence that keeps the dinosaurs in their enclosure. You're always going to have people without the common sense to not touch an electrical fence. So we have a stupidity barrier. I ended up wanting to try and incorporate the wall pieces from the Jurassic Park update. At first, you'll notice that I didn't quite succeed where I originally planned, but I ended up finding a spot for the Velociraptor wall, which I'm actually really proud of. I really like the way that it ends up looking. This project had me really scatterbrained and just hopping from place to place. I forget a lot of different things. But the footage itself is also pretty scattered around, so when you're looking at some of the final shots, there's going to be some things that you probably didn't see me build. That's just because this section of the park, even though it was my favorite section, ends up being just kind of all over the place. You guys are probably also wondering whether or not I'm going to be continuing the series after the release of Jurassic World Evolution 3. I have good news that I will not be stopping this series because I already have almost all of the footage for this series. Behind the scenes, I have 2 more enclosures to finish before this project is fully completed. But Jurassic World Evolution 3 releases in a little less than 10 days. At the rate that I'm releasing these videos, it's going to take me a lot longer than 10 days to finish this series. So even after the release of Jurassic World Evolution 3, I am probably going to continue to release this Jurassic World Evolution 2 series until it is complete. Now, with the elephant in the room addressed, I want to move on to the tinkering section of the video. The next couple of minutes is me tossing around the idea of a tram tour like in the original movie. I end up going with the tram tour. It ends up becoming a major tool in going from one side of the park to the other, as there are multiple stops along the way connecting different pieces of path to each other. I end up having almost all of the dinosaurs on the outer edge of the island, and then I have the Tyrannosaurus Rex in the center of the island. I tried to make it so you don't have to lap back and forth as much as possible, because a good park will always kind of have this flow to it where you go around in a big circle and you're able to see everything without making a lot of back and forth movements. You won't see it in this video, but in the next video you will see my entire layout plan where I used sand and dirt to kind of draw out the entirety of the park. It kind of helped me realize the size and scale of all the different habitats. This first iteration of track, though, ends up being way too small to complete that idea, at least to the scale that I wanted to do it. So it ends up going away, and you won't see the tram tour track, whatever it's called, till next episode. As you can see, there's kind of an elevated bit and a not so elevated bit. I wanted to kind of mess with this elevation a little bit and have it so that the view from the Triceratops enclosure was looking over which enclosure was underneath it. And as you can see from the aerial view, I kind of forgot to attach the path from the main path to our little viewing platform up at the top here. This last section of the video is me kind of spiffying that up a little bit and making it all cutesy. I end up making our viewing platform into a nice little sitting area, but because there's nothing that the guest's AI wants up there, they don't really ever go up there, which kind of sucks, but it's fine. Have I said how much I don't like pathing in this game? I have. Well, I'm actually not going to say that again, because making this slope as compared to trying to make a nice smooth slope in Planet Zoo was so much easier. Anyways, I'm going to go back to hating on the pathing system now, because I don't like that if you delete a piece of path and it has decoration on it, it deletes all the decorations that are on it. For the Proceratosaurus enclosure, I think I had it the worst, because I had set up an entire seating area and I needed to change the path, and so without remembering that it deletes all of your decorations on the path as well, I deleted the entire section that I had just spent like a good chunk of time on. Rant aside, I now wanted to try and put a nice little barrier around the edge because I didn't want it to just be a cliff face. It didn't fit. I ended up needing to delete all of the invisible barriers there to fit this in, but I couldn't just leave it, so I needed to pause my game, and so it ended up being kind of a miracle that I managed to get everything lined up as well as I did. The invisible fence problem ended up being a lot easier than I thought it would be to deal with. I'm really happy with how this all turned out. I think it looks really good. I really wish that the people's AI actually made their way up there and just kind of was like, oh, what's this over here type thing, instead of just going to all of the major places. Like, I get and I understand how it works. It's just, it makes me so sad. I want to see the people looking at the dinosaurs. Now, I had to move a bunch of stuff out of the way so I could get the barrier back into place so that our dinosaurs wouldn't escape. But with those pieces out of the way and the barriers in place, that is our speed build complete. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching just as much as I enjoyed building. But all we have left is the finishing shots of the park. Thank you to everybody who made it till the end of this video. It means a lot. And as always, please feel free to leave name suggestions for our dinosaurs in the comments below. While you're there, please consider liking and subscribing. It's a free way to help content creators beat the algorithm and to tell the algorithm that you like videos like these, so hopefully you'll get recommended more. And with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, noon, or night.